In defense of sanity, the case of Imamoglu. There are currently massive protests against Erdogan because of a temporary imprisonment of Imamoglu, which should raise a lot of questions all over the world, foremost among the Turkish citizens, but for some strange reasons it doesn't, at least not the right ones. The curious case of Imamoglu is not a simple us versus them case, it's a case of delusion, nonsense, self-inflicted damage, anti-democratic attitude. But what exactly happened? There are multiple layers to this topic, so let's start with Imamoglu's diploma. Özal Özcan, a private citizen, reported Imamoglu's transfer from an unrecognized university to a private one in order to get his degree, which went against the law/regulations. This has nothing to do with Erdogan or his party. The report by Özcan resulted in an investigation in which the diploma of 28 people were terminated, including that of Imamoglu. The public obviously doesn't give a flying F about the remaining 27 people, and this obviously has to be a conspiracy by Erdogan and his party, because why wouldn't it be? In any sane democratic society, the topic would have ended here. In Turkey, this leads to death threats to Özal Özcan and his family, and the entire topic is anti-democratic and a conspiracy by the government. Basis for the thought process are the divine guts, no questions asked. This was reported by several media outlets. Mind you, we had the same case in reversed roles where Erdogan's diploma was put into question. But in that case, it was obviously the truth and there was no doubt about it. Never mind that an investigation did not yield in any termination of Erdogan's diploma and that there are evidence and witnesses of its graduation. But it gets worse. Imamoglu has a record of shady actions and deals. Alleged shady actions and deals. He's not getting imprisonment for a false diploma. He's being charged, or to be more precise, accused of bid rigging for a government contract in 2014-2019, misconduct of funds in 2024, a major corruption scandal in which 2 publicly funded municipality organizations are involved, and collaboration with a terror organization which involves the hiring of people with unlawful backgrounds. There are also a row of other smaller cases that predates these events by years, involving lots of slander and insults, which I'm not going to get into. So from the very beginning, the CHP knew that Imamoglu has trials going on. Some of these trials were alleged crimes the public spoke about years ago, such as the hiring of questionable people, which was debated all the way in 2022 in this example. So the CHP knew of ongoing trials and the publicly outspoken alleged crimes, and they still supported Imamoglu, not giving a flying F about potential consequences later on. Now here's the thing, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not familiar with how well the Turkish laws are, I'm not saying that Imamoglu committed these alleged crimes, however, that's not my job to figure out in the first place. Neither is it the job of the public. In any other democratic society, this should lead to a trial and the court decision is accepted by the public. But we're not in a democratic society in Turkey. And this is somehow an attack against Kemalism, democracy, and somehow a coup d'etat, which makes absolutely zero sense. The CHP and Imamoglu are not arguing based on the alleged crimes. They're gaslighting the Turkish public by underlining that this is some kind of war against democracy itself, whatever that means in Turkey, and are showing the events as some kind of attack against, quote, the national will. Suddenly, Imamoglu is already the next president. Suddenly, Imamoglu is the only contender that can defeat Erdogan. Never mind the fact that Mansur Yavaş is still the more popular candidate. Are using the exact same rhetoric Erdogan used for 2 damn decades. Everything is blown up, everything is a conspiracy, everything is a lie except the own truth. But hey, the other side is doing that, not the opposition of course. Mind you, Imamoglu is a notorious liar, as I have discussed in this video of mine, where he lied and tricked the public about making Istanbul earthquake safe in mere years. He also has no shame publicly announcing that he's willing to steal money from the public. In the last election, Kılıçdaroğlu, the opposition candidate, announced putting Yavaş and Imamoglu as vice president. So these 2 people would be mayors and vice presidents, getting paychecks for both. Imamoglu, by the way, also has some companies he owns or is most likely involved in, reminding us all of a very specific fraud, alleged fraud over in the US. So we have a situation of liars and alleged frauds stating that they are not involved in fraud. And still, I'm not condemning Imamoglu or saying that he's a criminal, but in any sane democratic society, these questions are dealt with in a damn court. not in the public, not on the streets, not with the legislative. The entire case is a power struggle between two corrupt political factions, and the conclusion of the opposition is that we should defend a rich, potentially corrupt official because on the other side there is another rich, potentially corrupt official. Brother, what are we doing here? I think people are frustrated, and they are in their full rights to be so. There are too many laws that have to be reformed, there are too many economic struggles, and I can 100% resonate with it. But people are looking for an excuse to let their frustration out, and this is not the right way. When the balance of power is working for once, and you start rejecting everything because everything is apparently a conspiracy by the government, so as to trust me, then you're not protesting for democracy. You're protesting for an aristocracy with corrupt officials being in charge of the country. The entire economic damage is self-inflicted here, because people apparently know better whether a case is a conspiracy or valid. There is not a single doubt among the protesting people that even 1/10 of the alleged crimes are true. Somehow, a proven liar in a party that loves to exaggerate the F out of facts, just like the government by the way, is incapable of committing any damn crimes. In the worst case, we have millions upon millions of people whitewashing the crimes of a government official for no particular reason at all. Because reasons. Welcome to idiocracy.